brought to you by YEARN. YEARN is DeFi's first self-building community-run project, which I just get really, really excited about. YEARN is a system that seeks out yield in DeFi, and it does that in a number of different ways. A very aggressive way is with the vaults, where you can deposit your preferred asset of choice, and different DeFi experts will come in and generate a strategy for what to do with your deposited token, right? And so it'll go find ways to get yield in that deposited token in DeFi. For those who want to just earn yield on their stablecoins, the Earn system is for you, where you can deposit your preferred stablecoin and YEARN will go and figure out which money market on DeFi in DeFi is producing the best interest rate, whether it's DYDX, it's Compound, or Aave. It looks around DeFi to see where the yield is coming from, and it directs stablecoins automatically so you don't have to. Check them out at yearn.finance to get started, and also check out the stats page to see what other people are doing as well. We're also brought to you by Monolith. Monolith is your cool new DeFi account, your DeFi savings account, your DeFi checking account. Except the cool thing about the Monolith DeFi account is that it gets software updates, right? You actually get to increase the usefulness of this over time. So here are some of the features. Monolith is a smart contract wallet with a lot of the features that you would expect if you've come to know DeFi and what it is. You can add money to it. You can put that money to work in Compound and accessing yield. But you can also swap through Uniswap. What was cool with Monolith is that they will send you a very sexy Monolith Visa card that connects to your Monolith smart contract wallet on Ethereum. So it's a really awesome tool to live a bankless life with a savings account that gets software updates. So this is something that you're never going to find out in the real world, but you can still do real world things with real money, like buy your groceries. So that's just fantastic. Coming soon to Monolith, actually already here to Monolith, is now you can buy DAI and get it sent to your wallet directly, right? So it's also being an on-ramp. So you don't have to go through your centralized exchange like Coinbase or Gemini or wherever. You can just go straight from your bank account right into your Monolith checking account smart contract wallet. So check them out at monolith.xyz.
All right, well, let's dig into some of that drum rolling in today's episode. As we should be introing Jacob Cantelle from MetaMask. He is on the product team at MetaMask. Jacob, it's great to see you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me, Ryan and David. I really appreciate you guys.
Welcome.
Well, it's awesome to have you here. We are obviously huge fans of MetaMask, both ourselves, of course, super users maybe like use it every day. Mm-hmm. And also the Bankless community, I know, is composed of a whole bunch of people that are daily active users of MetaMask. But I want to talk about first this impressive milestone that you guys recently reached, which is you have recently exceeded over 1 million monthly active users on MetaMask. Can you kind of break down what that means for MetaMask and how that data was collected, Jacob?
Yeah, so thank you so much for saying that, Ryan. So I think a lot of people remember just a little over a year ago, we very first hit 1 million total installs, and that was just in general installs. We've been seeing compounding growth in MetaMask, especially towards the end of 2019. We saw a lot of growth of users who were using DAOs and who were playing games using MetaMask. And then this year, the DeFi space has taken that previous growth and is compounding it again. And really what you see is when a user onboards into one site, they start using one app, that compounds and the value for the entire ecosystem grows. So we sort of think of ourselves as a universal solution that's serving the entire ecosystem. We're not just a gaming wallet or a DeFi wallet or a DAO wallet or a payments wallet. We're all of those things, and people are compounding into one, or joining into one use case, and then they're going and discovering value in all these other things. And we think it's the same kind of feedback loop that you get with the internet generally. So, there's certainly a place for niche apps that focus on one use case or another, but we think that by creating the most value possible for our users and the most universal and most interoperable solution, that we're going to be able to do the best for the developer ecosystem and for the community itself to start discovering all these sites and apps. Yeah, you were just showing the countries. Those are on our mobile growth. I just want to point those out. We're seeing a ton of growth, especially in developing countries where people are using this for payments. They're using it for daily survival. They're using it also to try out DeFi and games and dApps. And we're super excited to be able to provide those kinds of financial services to people who have historically been locked out of the traditional financial system.
So for people on the podcast who can't see what we're showing on YouTube, the top 4 countries in terms of MetaMask mobile volume were first the United States, but second, India, third, Nigeria, and fourth, the Philippines. These last 3 are pretty surprising, and I think maybe that demonstrates exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's huge community growth, and there's especially like mobile in a lot of those countries. Most people principally are using a cell phone. They're not using a desktop computer or something like that. So there's a lot of people who've been waiting for this to really start joining the ecosystem, and our mobile launch has really helped with that. It's also worth saying that the mobile app in its first month passed the peak of where the extension was for the whole of 2019. So we're really excited about that growth. This chart you're showing here, this is showing just the constant month-over-month growth that we're seeing and the compounding value that we're seeing for the ecosystem.
It looks a bit like a hockey stick, I'd say, Jacob.
So you asked a little bit about how we get the data.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we're not using on-chain data. I want to be super clear that there's not duplicates or something like that. Some people were like, well, one person, it's probably just people making a bunch of accounts or something. We have an opt-in consensual thing that we call MetaMetrics. If people Google MetaMetrics, you can read in detail about our methodology for how we do analytics. We let the user opt in to analytics directly. We don't, even on the users who opt in, we don't track IP address. We're very serious about privacy and protecting the privacy of our users. We want Web3 to be an alternative to these companies like Facebook and Google that are treating people like products and that are treating data as as a commodity. And instead, our mission is to democratize access to the decentralized web. We want the decentralized web to be available to everyone. We want a transactional layer on the internet that allows people to consensually have interactions and permissions and privacy, and to create a better internet. And we want to transform the internet and the financial system. So our metrics solution, we take those who have opted into the metrics, and then we also track those who have opted out of metrics. We get one tracking event that tells us that someone opted out, and then we don't track them any further. So we have ratios about how many total or what the percentages of people who are opted into the metrics are. And then we use the data that we have on people who have opted in, and then we project that to the total number to arrive at a real monthly active user number.
So do you know what percentage of people opt in? So like what's the sample size that is of the whole?
So it changes month to month.
Mm-hmm.
When we very first rolled it out, the people who opted out was a higher proportion. It was like around a little higher than 25%. And today it's around 18%. And we sort of grouped together the last 6 months of data 6 months of data to get an accurate number of where we're at today. Yeah.
So sometimes historically it's really hard to like calculate how many people use DeFi, right? Because I have at least 10 wallets that I've used, in the last like 2 years in Ethereum, right? However, I think MetaMask, it's actually a little easier to get rid of some of the noise, because with MetaMask, it's really just the number of devices you have rather than the number of wallets you have, right? And so inside of MetaMask, I could have 10 wallets, but I would only have one MetaMask, right? And so my intuition is to assume that some of the data that's coming out of MetaMask is a lot less noisy than like somebody that is looking at like unique addresses that have used Compound or MakerDAO or Uniswap. Is my intuition correct there?
That's right. So when a person opts into Metametrics, we're just getting one event per all their accounts. So these are much more accurate. We're not tracking like, oh, you have 10 accounts, so that's 10 users. No, that we're trying to do real data and make this available for the ecosystem, and we want to use it to benefit the ecosystem.
Cool. Okay.
Very cool.
Just one last little nuance on there. So like, if the MetaMask was like my first wallet, right? So I've had my MetaMask seed phrase basically since forever. And so I've actually put that MetaMask seed phrase in a couple of my devices. Would you guys count those as one user, or like one user per device?
So we don't, we will, for privacy reasons, we will not associate the consensual tracking cookie with your seed phrase across multiple devices.
Okay.
So if you did use, 2 different devices, that would count as multiple monthly active users. Most people don't do that, although we do see a lot of people that have the extension in mobile. So there is some element of duplication there.
And okay, so what were you surprised about when you got some of this data? Was any of this data like shocking? If you ask me, like, oh, MetaMask 1 million monthly active users coming hot on the heels of DeFi yield farming, I would have been like, well, yeah, that's because of the DeFi yield farming. But you're telling me that there's some extra stuff going on. So was that surprising? Was that new information for you guys? And also, how has that kind of change the trajectory or priorities of what you guys are working on at MetaMask internally?
So we do get numbers on the dApps that people are using in a given month. So we have not that an individual is using, but we get aggregate metrics about which dApps are more popular and stuff like that. So the month-over-month changes of what dApps people are using vary wildly, like every month. And actually, it's really fun in my role to like go and I can just see like, oh, what's the top 10 this month, and go and try all of them. It's been really really fun for me. Most months, the most popular thing that people do is send payments to one another, or just send transactions to another wallet or something like that. After that, the DEX category tends to be the most popular. Then in most recent months, it's that, and then the DeFi use cases are number 3, and then games, and then DAOs. And within each of those categories, the sites that are the most popular, they vary wildly. The space is just growing so rapidly, and there's so many new use cases and new sites and new platforms that there's not just like a consistent, oh, this is what people do in MetaMask. And I think that by trying to be permissionless and give people a platform for innovation and to empower the developer ecosystem, we're best positioned to serve those many use cases.
Another really cool thing, Jacob, about this metric is this is a very common Web 2 metric, right? Like if you look at like annual reports of a Facebook or any social platform, they're going to report out in monthly active users and daily active users. And that's exactly what this is. They don't quite understand the other metrics that DeFi use, such as like, maybe active wallets or amount of value, total locked. So that's pretty cool. But I'm also like, I just want to step back and think about 1 million users of a bankless DeFi wallet product. That is a fantastically huge milestone. I remember in the first quarter of this year, we were talking about like, what's the size, what's the population of everybody who uses DeFi? And the numbers came out around, 250,000 to 300,000 people, right? So the size of a small US city, like a Richmond, Virginia, or something like that. Now, here we are 6 months later, and we've got metrics that are telling us there are 1 million monthly active users in DeFi. Well, now we've grown from a city the size of a Richmond, Virginia, and now we're a San Jose. Now we're in Austin, Texas. Like that's a major metropolis at this point. I can't wait to see, as we extrapolate that hockey stick forward, how it grows. Well, how long until we're larger than a small nation, for example, and then how long after that until we're larger than the United States of America. So it's very exciting to see these numbers, and congrats to your success for helping to onboard the world into a bankless money system. We really appreciate what you guys are doing at MetaMask. I want to transition to another exciting element, I think, that's coming out with MetaMask is you guys you dropped the mobile wallet, which is super cool. A number of us, particularly, I would say the DeFi super users among us, really love the desktop version. And love the desktop version because it's so damn versatile. Like you can do anything with it. So any DeFi app, it just kind of works out of the box natively. You can do things like connect your Ledger hardware wallet to it. So it feels like if you're prioritizing security, it is one of the most secure ways to actually use DeFi. You don't have to trust a smart contract wallet, which they're coming along, but they're somewhat new. So like MetaMask is fantastic for that. And you guys are starting to add some more features. I think I'm seeing to the desktop version as well. And that's starting with this idea of MetaMask swaps. Can you talk about MetaMask swaps? And in general, what's kind of in store for the feature set of the desktop version here?
Hey guys, we're going to get to the topic of MetaMask swaps with Jacob, but first we're going to pause the state of the nation to talk about our fantastic Bankless sponsors. Unstoppable Domains has two products that's helping make the crypto world feel like the old world that we're familiar with, but with these new crypto economic protocols under the hood. And that is human readable crypto addresses as well as uncensorable domains. So I've got my Unstoppable Domains account open here and I've got my domains registered. And so I've got davidhoffman.crypto, right? And I have one of my Ethereum addresses pointed to it. And I'm also going to be able to add my Bitcoin address here as well because this is a blockchain agnostic product. Any wallet that has Unstoppable Domains integrated will allow you to type in davidhoffman.crypto, and if you're sending Bitcoin or if you're sending ETH or Litecoin or hell, even Ripple, it will send it to the address that I've associated on my account. So I'm going to pull up my Ether wallet here, and I've loaded up an address with a small amount of ETH, and I'm going to send a little bit of ETH to myself at davidhoffman.crypto. It's going to populate with the Ethereum address that it has, but it's also linked to my Twitter account because in Unstoppable Domains, I've linked my Twitter account to all of the addresses that I've plugged in. And so Chainlink is actually associating my Twitter account with my Ethereum address. And these are the Web 2 platforms that we have today, but think about what happens when decentralized identity becomes more of a thing. I'm sure Unstoppable Domains is going to use decentralized identity solutions like Bright ID or Circles to associate addresses with people in a extremely self-sovereign way. Unstoppable Domains also allows you to spin up uncensorable websites, which is, I think, going to become increasingly important in the world ahead of us. Using Unstoppable Domains, you can purchase a website and use decentralized storage providers to host it as well, meaning that no nation state can take down your website. There is no canceling in Unstoppable Domains world. They even have templates ready to go to help you build out your first unstoppable domain. So go to unstoppabledomains.com, register your crypto addresses with a human readable name, and maybe launch your uncensorable website today. Zapper is this new tool that I use to check out all of my assets in DeFi. As you guys have known, DeFi has absolutely exploded recently, and so managing your assets is getting harder and harder because there's so many different places and so many different assets that it could be. So I'm going to put my Ethereum address in here, and Zapper is going to tell me where all of my assets are across Ethereum, right? So here are all of the assets in this wallet. There's a decent amount of them. And it's also going to tell me where I've deposited assets into various DeFi protocols, right? So there's some yield farming going on. There's some liquidity pooling going on. We can also look more granularly at the specific protocols that it's involved with in this Explore feature. So it's got some assets deposited into Uniswap. It's got some assets deposited into Balancer. And also with Zapper, you can just exchange straight from the Zapper interface, right? So this is just another layer on top of Uniswap or other exchanges on Ethereum that allow you to swap assets, right? So check them out at zapper.fi. It'll give you a nice clean portal to invest your assets in DeFi. And you can also connect to multiple wallets if you use multiple wallets all at once, and it'll give you an aggregate of every single wallet that you own. Check them out at zapper.fi. Also, this is definitely not my wallet.
Yeah, I'd also love, you mentioned hardware wallets, so I'd love to talk a little bit about that too.
Yeah, please.
I come back to that in a minute. But so we've launched this new swaps product. It is, it's funny. I'll tell you the whole story of it. So we started out with just the idea, let's pick a DEX aggregator that pulls in a bunch of liquidity sources and bring that to MetaMask. So there's a few DEX aggregators in the space. There's some really great ones. And we went out and we actually, we tried all of them, and we did a study internally on which was the best one that we were going to pick. And we ended up with this split that was like all of these basically almost evenly compete with each other in different scenarios based on the order size, based on the specific token, based on their own unique approaches to gas. And so a team member made this like weird app called Aggregator. And I was actually just looking at an old screenshot of it. But it took all of the DEX aggregators and it pinged them individually. And it allowed us to get the best possible price for the user, and then to route the order through the specific DEX aggregator or direct DEX that made the most sense for the user. So, so we've rolled this out now, and obviously it's a lot more robust and beautiful than the original aggregator was. But so we've rolled this out. We're aggregating many different DEX aggregators. We're aggregating APIs that are not as readily available to people. We've also got private market makers who are providing liquidity to it as well, that wouldn't necessarily be available otherwise. And we're bringing this to end users, and trying to really take that million monthly active users that you mentioned, many of whom have never even done DEX swaps, like they onboarded into MetaMask to play games, to be a part of a community, all kinds of different use cases, and to make that feature set more available to them, to make it more convenient, and then also to give them confidence that when they make a DEX swap, that they're actually getting a fair price for the swap. So that's now available today in Firefox. We're looking to roll it out to Chrome very, very shortly, I think next week, plus or minus. And we'd love to bring this to mobile as well.
Fantastic. That was actually a YouTube question. Hey, when is it going to release to other browsers? So it sounds like next week for Chrome. It's fantastic news. And Jacob, you wanted to say something about hardware. connectivity.
Don't hold me to that date, by the way. That's speculation and estimation.
Never, not in this
are complex. Well, did you want to ask me more about this? And we can go to the hardware wallets in a second. I didn't.
Well, okay, I guess so. Swaps seems pretty straightforward, but basically, to summarize, and you can correct me if there's anything wrong. You open the extension basically, and within the MetaMask wallet itself, there's some functionality that allows you to move from one asset to another, and it gets you the best price using that aggregator of aggregators type of formula. So I could move from ETH to a DAI, or a DAI to a wifey or something like that, just with a couple of clicks. Is that kind of it?
Yeah, that's a good summary.
So
very cool.
The reason why I think this is such a big deal is because historically, at least from what I've seen, MetaMask has been a product that has pushed complexity out to the edges, right? It lets the websites take care of crazy logic, and MetaMask just operates as this like coupler between your wallet and that website, right? And so this is like the first feature I've seen MetaMask roll out that has complexity on the inside of MetaMask, right? Which is kind of a big step for MetaMask outside of its, previous, keep things simple and secure, and then just, make everything, ask the user for permission if they want things to be more complex. So what was the thought process with, adding in complexity into MetaMask natively?
So I think the way that we think about it is we want to be a wallet that serves the whole ecosystem and the whole community first. And we're definitely principally still focused on being a universal wallet. That has not changed really at all. We're providing some additional, like where we see clear adoption of a specific use case, where we can make it easier for people to do. We are bringing some of those features into the wallet. You mentioned swaps, but there's also another example of that. On mobile, we actually launched an aggregator of on-ramps. So a MetaMask mobile user can purchase crypto through MetaMask mobile and be routed through the appropriate on-ramp to the country that they're in. So we're aggregating Wire, we're aggregating Transact, which is itself an aggregator of other on-ramps, and bringing those two together. And so we're trying to make it easier for people to get ETH, to get DAI, and to do so in whatever country that they're based in. So I think that we want to make those kinds of things available, while principally we're still focused on serving the entirety of the ecosystem.
Very good. Yeah. So maybe jumping to that hardware question. So the reason this is, I think, important is, the reason DeFi super users love your product, again, is because it's so versatile. It just works with everything. But also, if you are doing things with larger capital amounts, larger capital pools, you're most comfortable probably holding your own keys on some sort of a hardware device or some sort of multi-sig, right? There might be a handful of smart contract wallets that are mature enough to be trusted, maybe a Gnosis multi-sig, maybe an Argent wallet, getting closer, right? But if it's large amounts, the safest place to do it is directly like self-custodying, not in a smart contract wallet. We've seen issues like the parity hack in the past. So can you talk a little bit more about hardware support? Because that's been kind of a killer combination, I know, for many folks in the Bankless community. You take a hardware wallet like a Ledger or a Trezor, and you combine that with MetaMask, and now you have your own self-sovereign banking interface and can do anything in DeFi in a very secure way.
Yeah. So thanks for that. So we have a bunch planned on the hardware wallet front, and this has been one of the most popular things that we do, but it's also been one of the more finicky things in some ways because of third-party APIs. So a lot of hardware wallets were built around U2F and WebHID, which are APIs that force, or that give the browser or the operating system in different circumstances, they're dependent on those APIs. So you'll have some challenges for some users, like on Windows. There's annoying pop-ups to use those APIs. So we're working together with the Ledger team on a better flow for that. I don't have anything to announce yet, but we'll have a much more versatile and universal solution there, I believe. We also have a pull request that you can find where MetaMask is potentially going to be supporting QR code based hardware wallets, air gapped hardware wallets. So we'd love to, someone can use a device that doesn't go online anymore, an old phone without a SIM card in it. You could use that as a hardware wallet and use the camera on your phone. There's other hardware wallets that are coming out with cameras and screens that are air gapped. We'd love to be able to support a broader diversity of things and things that aren't dependent on third-party APIs. We're also coming out with a plugin system that's going to allow the addition of additional hardware wallets. So any hardware wallet manufacturer will be able to add their hardware wallet to MetaMask through a snap. Snaps, they get installed during the connect flow to a site. So, the user could go out to the hardware wallet site, install a plugin that will allow support for that specific hardware wallet use case. And we'd love to lower the bar of entry for hardware wallets, and we don't want to be the gatekeeper of which integrations are in MetaMask or which ones are not. So we're increasingly moving towards this sort of permissionless platform for innovation and extension of MetaMask itself.
Jacob, one thing that really excites me is that MetaMask really offers this obfuscation layer, which, maybe in different words is kind of like this user aggregation layer, where you guys are, at least with this new swap feature, you guys are the aggregator of aggregators, right? And so there's a lot of DeFi protocols that are operating behind the scenes to make the MetaMask swap feature work, right? So, MetaMask looks to Uniswap for its price. It looks to DexAgg for its price. When DexAgg looks at Kyber for its price, to me, what I'm seeing is a manifestation of the protocol sync thesis, which if you're familiar, the protocol sync thesis is protocols that are just, operate as infrastructure, agnostic, credibly neutral infrastructure, fall down to the bottom, and then surface level interfaces, things like MetaMask, tap into those protocols in order to offer services to its users. And what you guys are doing is really clever, is you're adding on a 0.875% fee onto the swap for it to add to that service, which to my knowledge is MetaMask's first big step into actual monetization of the product, from what I can tell. So are there future value added features that you guys are thinking about, where you guys also take your guys' your fee, your cut, to help support the MetaMask business, and maybe grow this thing into something massive? Are there future products coming down the line that kind of fit in the same pattern?
Yeah, so we don't have any other value added services to announce yet, with the exception of the other one that I mentioned was the on-ramp aggregator. So we have that on mobile today. We make a small revenue from that as well. And we've historically had just Wire and a couple other solutions on the extension. But so the two ways that we do make money are from the on-ramp aggregator and from the swaps feature. I don't know what the long-term pricing of the swaps feature will be. We had originally announced a 0.3% to a 0.875%, depending on swap size and different things like that. We haven't rolled out the dynamic pricing to the Firefox version yet, and we're looking at a lot of data, thinking about what the best way to approach it is. We did intentionally set. We did a lot of research onto how much money we were going to be saving people, and so it varies a lot depending on swap size, depending on different scenarios. But we've seen swaps where we're saving people 5%. We're able to really save the end user a lot of money. And it varies a lot based on the order size, based on different scenarios. But we feel really good that we have a really strong value proposition and that we're saving people money. We're not trying to do this as like fee collectors. It's not just like, I mean, convenience is a part of it, but we want to give people confidence that they're getting the best swap price. And so our fees are sort of built around that.
Very cool. All right, I want to talk about this this last maybe major feature set that we're starting to see rollups actually come into existence in a big way in DeFi. Even starting to see Ethereum rollups, actually projects like deploy on Ethereum rollups first before they deploy on mainnet, which is super exciting. Right now in MetaMask, you can kind of change from mainnet to a testnet to something like Ripston or some other testnet. Very easily. Yeah, XDAI, just like a click of a button. Is that, can you do the same thing for a rollup? Let's say this Optimism rollup with synthetics and with Uniswap comes into existence. Will that be, able to natively plug into MetaMask as easy as a click of a button and you're on this new network?
So a few things that we have announced today. There's lots of things to talk about, but so we've announced our plugin system late last year. There was a developer preview of the plugin system that's available today, and that can support both EVM compatible custom blockchains, and it can support non-EVM compatible custom blockchains, layer 2s, like for example, Starkware. You can't just add Starkware as a custom network today. You need a wallet that's compatible with its chain. So we're building this plugin system that allows the user during the connect flow to a site to add a custom blockchain and to have that as a part of their MetaMask wallet. There's a lot of security things that we're figuring out with it. We're also we're doing some other exciting stuff with complementary blockchains that are being used for file storage. So yesterday you might have seen got announced that Filecoin is doing a plugin and Snap together with MetaMask. So you'll be able to do data storage and stuff like that from MetaMask. So we really want MetaMask to be deeply extensible and to allow the developer community to start extending what MetaMask can do. We also want to have contract account APIs. So a wallet developer of a specific contract account standard can create a contract account wallet. You can import your contract account wallet into MetaMask. So even if you were using a different, using a specific contract account,
say like a Gnosis multisig, for instance.
Yeah, exactly. You'd be able to import that with the plugin system. So we're really committed to that. It's very important to us. It is technically challenging. We're doing a lot of really interesting stuff with security as well to make it work. So we've got this product. It's a library called LavaMoat that sandboxes all of the open source dependencies to the wallet. So we're really excited and proud of that. We take security extremely seriously, and so we're doing a lot of innovation in the space. LavaMoat also uses something called SES or Secure ECMAScript, which is a JavaScript sandboxing method. In terms of we'll also have some other announcements short of snaps to announce in the coming few weeks, but not ready yet.
It sounds like you guys have a ton of stuff in the back pocket.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, that's great. Well, Jacob, thanks so much for your time. It's been a pleasure to have you. There's so much more we could get into. We haven't even talked about like Infura or MetaMask token or other future things, but we'd love to have you guys back on State of the Nation to talk more about that as those exciting announcements come in. Thanks for joining us, though, Jacob.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. That token one is a very popular request.
I bet.
So anyway, thank you guys so much, and I really appreciate it.
Well, cheers. Fantastic. Take care, Jacob. All right, David. Now, this is the point in time where I'm supposed to announce sponsors, basically. So to the sponsors that made this possible, thank you very much. We're going to show a little bit about their tools in just a second here. And then we'll be back talking to Lucas Campbell about the Q3 token report that we just put out.
Q3 token report.
Stay tuned.
Right, here we go.